So I popped off the serpentine belt, checking for a seized pulley, and it looks like my AC compressor pulley is stuck. So it looks like I'll have to get like a clutch kit. I believe those come with the bearing for that. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So I was hoping to do everything from the engine bay, but I popped off the belt just now. Looks like it's out of the way enough, so I'm going to go ahead and try to crank it and see what happens. I'm assuming it'll run now. Just, you know, obviously no alternator or anything like that, so it may not run great. Fired up and purred real nicely. When I drove it home the other day after starting it, it actually sounded like you could hear the grinding, so I knew some pulley was bad. I assumed the alternator, since she was having like dying car problems and everything like that. I figured it was just the whole thing was on the way out, but clearly not. So now I gotta go into the wheel well, which I was hoping I wouldn't have to. Okay, so now I've got the passenger side wheel well, or wheel off, got it jacked up. So I need to get to the AC compressor, which is behind this plastic stuff here. So there's just a few clips here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop those off just so I can get access to the compressor and then get the clutch and everything off of there and get it swapped out. I got the new ones already. Alright, so here we got the compressor there, and the pulley's definitely seized. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I gotta take off this outer clutch disc, I guess you would call it. Alright, so it's a 5mm. I tried with the ratchet and holding that there. I couldn't really hold it. Probably could get a pry bar in there or something, but I'm going to try it with the impact. That came right off. Wow, that came right off also. And it's coming apart. I'm assuming because of the heat from when it was failing. And yeah, this looks pretty jacked up too. So I'm going to have to take off. Right here there's a little C-clip. So I'm going to get some snap ring. I'm going to get some snap ring pliers here and see if I can get them in there. And yeah, this is seized nice and tight. So we'll see how this ends up looking like if I can get it off. Alright, so I got the snap rings in there at an angle. We'll see if they want to come, if it wants to come off, and it basically did. I don't know how well you can see, but you can see the ball bearings in there are kind of flopsy, so I'm going to give it a few whacks with a mallet and see what happens. Okay, so as I tap this, you can see the ball bearings moving around in there. I'm assuming, yeah, there we go. Those ball bearings flopping side to side were what was holding this thing on. There we go. Got that off, and you can see the bearings are all borked inside of there. And so that's what was holding this up there. So now there's one more snap ring holding the coil, because it looks like the coil started to get borked. So you can see it started to like melt or deform there or whatever. So I gotta look real quick and see where the snap ring is for that and see if I can pop that off. Alright, so I'm not able to film it while I'm up in there because I get really deeply in there, but you can see the snap ring there kind of hidden by all that rust. The little holes there where the pliers go into are filled with crap, so I'm going to get I've been using a flathead, and now I'm going to use a pick tool to try to make those holes as big as possible. So that's what I'm working on right now. Not much to see. Alright, I got it popped off there. And now the coil should pop off. I'll probably have to give it a few taps since all that rust that's in there. Yeah, I will go ahead and remove the connector, which I think I got to get from the engine bay, and then pop that off and then compare to the new stuff that I got, and then go ahead and put it back together. Alright, so here's what the coil looks like. Looks like it was starting to melt. This connector was a huge pain to get off. I got the new kit here from this company, and I just googled it and found the compressor number and whatnot, so this should be what I need. So I'm going to open it up and compare it to what I have here. Alright, so here's what we got here. They call these refurbished, I think, because yeah, it looks like I used the one that just cleaned it up and whatnot, which is fine. The bearing appears to be new, so it'll be better than what I have. Here's what the coil's supposed to look like. Here's what that one looked like after all the carnage. Here's the connector here. That's not ideal, a butt connector there. But yeah, they call these refurbished, so take what I can get for the price versus a compressor. It also came with new shims as well as C-clips and the nut there. These are probably just the ones that came with the thing. This washer I have no idea what went to though. That's a little weird. The washers that, oh, these are just other washers. The washers that came on the compressor are in there still. They're deep in there. You can't really see them, but I think I'm gonna leave them and then just see if this works. Alright, so now I'm just gonna kind of put it back together. This is definitely used stuff. I don't know if they refurbish or what it is they do to refurbish, but it's definitely used at some point, but it's better than what I could have gotten. So just gonna put it back together the reverse of the way I took off. I may not show it all. Alright, so I got that one on there, the C-clip. I basically got it on there and then I tapped around it with a screwdriver to seat it all the way in, because when I got it on it wasn't all the way on. So, and this guy's got to go back on. Alright, so got that one on. Had to tap it in a little more because it was kind of crooked. So what I ended up doing was I got the old pulley, put it on top of there and tapped it in. That way I tapped it in evenly. I definitely had it a little bit crooked because this part was seating in, but the back part was not. And so now that's seated real nicely. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little, I don't know, disc, whatever the heck you want to call this thing. Put that on there and see if it's got the right amount of shims in there, if I can add or remove or whatever. So I got it in there with the shims that were in there from before, and it's not scraping on there or anything, so I think that's the idea. And then when it engages, it'll pull it in. If this compressor is even good, I don't even know. Alright, so I just went ahead and zipped that back on. Just did a couple quick blips with the impact and got it back on there. It spins freely, doesn't catch, so I think it'll be good. I'm going to go ahead and pop the belt on, try it out, see if the AC even works. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. The bearing is fixed, it's no longer seized, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the connector up there and then go ahead and pop the belt on and see what happens. Alright, so I got the belt back on and then, yeah, got it back on. So now I'm going to go ahead, fire up the car and see what happens. So I ended up finding the 10 amp AC compressor fuse blown, but it cycles on and off and it sounds like death. So I'm not really sure what that's all about. It might be low on refrigerant or something, but it's winter, so I'm not going to worry about it. You know? Alright, so you heard what the compressor sounded like. Didn't sound good, and even then it was kicking on and off, so I think it was low on charge. Probably has a leak somewhere. I saw a little bit of green staining behind the compressor clutch and whatnot, so might have some seals or something like that leaking. So as long as the AC isn't turned on, that won't matter, because it's running off the bearing that's sitting in there with that C-clip, so it should be fine. Nothing's gonna be damaged driving it like this, so I think I'm just gonna leave it like this, put it back together and call it good. I'm gonna be selling the car anyway, so I'm really not too worried about it. And then the condition that's in, it's probably not gonna hurt the resale value much more.